Okay, guys, so this little story has been making the headlines and being debated. There's a little bit of support for this guy. His name's uh, Bolic Bolic Malou, and he got tasered on this Jetstar flight and dragged off the plane because he refused to get back to his allocated seat before takeoff. And you get the usual headlines here. I felt like an animal. Tasered man aboard Jester flight speaks out. And so what we're going to do is we'll play a video that was on Sunrise this morning, and we'll run through the articles, and I'll explain to you why you need to stay in your allocated seat for takeoff and landing. So here we go.
Now to a new video emerging overnight. For the first time, we can take you inside the Jetstar flight where a man was arrested and tasered in an alleged dispute over a seat. 30-year-old Bolic Malou filmed the heated argument with federal police.
I'm leading Senior Constable Andrew Jackson from the Australian Federal Police at Perth Airport.
Thank you.
Grab your stuff and come off the aircraft. We'd like
what have I done wrong?
We will talk about that off the aircraft.
So, yeah, what have I done wrong? The usual. He also said, I saw another video where he said that he was just, confronting the cabin staff and saying, if you get the police, I'll get off the aircraft. So the police turn up, and he still doesn't get off the aircraft. So he's just full of it.
Sunrise reporter Tegan Doling is at Melbourne Airport. Tegan, Malou spoke with us overnight.
Good morning, Koshi. Bolic Malou's told Sunrise that he actually swapped seats in the plane so he could be seated next to his wife and one-year-old son for their flight from Perth to Melbourne.
Well, that's fine. If after takeoff you ask your cabin staff, "Oh, can I just go, change seats now? I want to be with my wife and son." You don't do it before takeoff. There's rules about this, and we'll get to this in a minute.
On Saturday. Now, a Jetstar staff member you can see in the video was actually asking him to move back to his allocated seat before the flight took off, but because he was refusing, they had to call the AFP on board. Now, when they came on board, Mr. Bolic continued to stay in his seat. They warned him that he was going to be forcibly removed if he didn't decide to get up off the plane.
Now, if you just notice here, I'll just go back a fraction. They've got the body cams on. This guy hasn't got a hope in hell of getting any compensation, and B, getting his court case thrown out, because you'll see the cops got the body cam on. You can see the little light flashing. I'll just play it.
Now, when they came on board, Mr. Bolic continued to stay in his seat. They warned him that he was going to be forcibly removed if he didn't decide to get up off the plane himself. That has happened, and he was actually tasered in the aisle, and it was during that altercation that police alleged 3 of their members received minor injuries.
That matter could have been really de-escalated by coming to me and making me understand, sir, this is not your seat.
Notice he's looking down. He does no eye contact. He's just lying through his bloody teeth. Good one, buddy. The staff would have told you, man. They don't muck around. They would have told you, look, you gotta stay in your seat, allocated seat for takeoff and landing, and then after the fasten seatbelt sign is off, you can wander around the cabin.
These are the rules of our airline. If this was done like this, once the Jetstar flight take off, you can go and sit back with your family.
Mr. Malou says he is going to fight all of the charges, Koshi. That includes insulting a police officer as well as public disorderly conduct. Now, because of his bail conditions, he's actually stuck in Perth. He can't get back to Melbourne to be with his family until his next court date.
Have we got a response from Jetstar? Didn't they explain it to him when they
Of course they would.
asked him to move?
That is the understanding. Jetstar has put out a statement saying that he was told that he has to move to his original seat before the flight took off, but he refused to move from the seat next to his wife.
Well, just do as you're told on a flight.
Yeah.
Pretty easy.
Exactly.
All right, Tegan.
Pretty
Thank
simple.
you.
And then everyone who was on that flight who was delayed for however long wouldn't have their plans disrupted either. Let's get more news now. Here's Eddie.
Simple. I think that sometimes people do this because they're sort of fishing for a bit of compensation from the airlines, or I don't know, or they're just plain bloody stupid. How can you be so stupid? These rules, everyone knows the rules. Tray table up, window blinds up for landing. seatbelt on, push your seat forward, then you don't lean back. These are all those basic rules of flying. It's like, did he have a rowboat from Africa? Did he? Is that how he got to Australia? Because you can tell by the accent he's wasn't born here. That's for sure. So I don't know how he got to Australia, but obviously he forgot his flight rules from back then. So let's have a look here. Let's have a look. Actually, we'll click on this. This will be interesting. I felt like an animal. Oh dear. Here you go. So we've got a bit of an interview here on 9 News. Let's have a listen to this. Here we go. Oh no.
This is Greg.
We've got ads.
He saved.
That's right. So we'll let the ad play here. We're doing this live. I'm not going to edit this out. There's Greg on UE. Yeah, whatever, buddy. All right. So here comes the video. 3, 2, 1.
Tensions on the tarmac.
Stop resisting! That's my
He's doing the George Floyd. He went to the George Floyd School of Screaming. When's he going to say, Mama?
Tasers drawn in a Jetstar
You
cabin
twit.
as an ugly exchange spirals.
You're a moron.
The takedown happening on top of other passengers.
He's going in a loop.
Bolic Malou screaming in agony and placed in a headlock. His wife and 1-year-old son horrified.
I'm horrified at how stupid people can be. Seriously, these are just basic rules of flying. We'll get into it in a minute why they have these rules, but I thought I'd just play this video. Oh, let's play
It was
victim.
a simple seat switch that sparked the scuffle on a Perth to Melbourne flight. The 30-year-old just wanted to be with his family.
Oh, I just want to be in first class. Why aren't I allowed in first class? I never get to go in first class.
Well, okay for me to sit here, right?
Jetstar
Who's they? No. What happened was he talked to some bloke that was sitting in that seat, and the bloke said, "Oh, yeah, you can sit here." It's like threw him under the bus. He should have said, "Mate, yeah, you can sit here after we get in the air."
he repeatedly refused to return to his assigned seat before takeoff.
That's basic
We have
rules, man.
reasons to not take you now. So
Call the police. I will go when the police come.
That's what I was talking about. He said, "Call the police. I'll go when the police come." What happened? The police come, and he starts arguing with the police. What did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? Man, you just can't make this shit up. Seriously.
But he didn't go.
That's
You
right.
can't comply with aircraft instructions. I need you to come with me right now. I ain't done wrong.
What have I done wrong? You're not complying with the cabin crew, dude. That's what you've done wrong. All these rules are for a reason. We'll get into that in a minute. I keep saying it, but we'll just keep playing this video. Here we go.
Voluntarily, or we're going to grab you.
That's right. Gave him a chance.
5 police, 4 different taser guns at once. It's voltage.
It's what the voltage?
On a human that
Yeah.
done nothing wrong.
The Melbourne dad
You did do something wrong, dude.
only just seen this confronting footage.
Oh my God.
Humiliated.
I'm so humiliated. I actually got the footage and I gave it to the news organization so they can show the whole world. You are a friggin' twit.
I was tasered and carried out of the place, pushed.
Hauled away in handcuffs, charged with disorderly behaviour, assaulting
Oh,
and
dear.
obstructing police.
Very
What he doesn't understand is these guys have got their body cams on. The judge is just going to see the footage and go, dude, you just wasted your money hiring some lawyers, man. You haven't got a leg to stand on.
Federal police claim Bolic Malou became verbally and physically
Yeah,
aggressive,
we can see
and
that.
3 officers suffered minor injuries. But he insists he's the victim in this.
Oh, yes, play the victim. I've gone to Meghan Markle's school, the victim. You must play the victim at any chance you got. Look how black I am. I'm very, very black. I'm playing the victim.
like an animal. Doesn't feel great in front of your little
Oh, yes.
1-year-old son.
And this passenger
Jesus
who
Christ,
filmed
mate.
the video agrees.
At no stage
Look at this tosser.
physically or verbally.
So what's this guy's name? Jaris Vanson. You're going to look like a complete dickhead once all the footage comes out.
Towards anyone. It looks like he'd come to an amicable agreement with another passenger.
This is rubbish.
And
I'll show you. Let's go to my Facebook. Because there was another passenger there that said, where is it? She actually said that she was on the flight, and here we go. This is it. Let's zoom in here. I was on this flight. This is Carmela. I was on this flight and I saw it very differently. Jetstar's crew and the police were reasonable and the passenger was very abusive and aggressive. Which one do you believe? If you call in the feds, I'm pretty sure you're being bloody abusive, dude. So I don't know what this guy's motive is, but why lie?
Everybody had swapped just fine.
Bolic Malou now stuck in Perth while he fights the charges, banned from flying until he stands trial in July.
Oh my God, I cannot watch the footage.
The 30-year-old says his lawyers will be fighting to change his bail conditions, which would enable him to reunite with his family in Melbourne until he stands trial in July. Jetstar has told 9 News the safety of its customers and crew is its #1 priority, and it has zero tolerance for those who misbehave. As for who was in the wrong here, that will eventually be decided by a magistrate.
By a magistrate? Seriously, man, the rules are very, very bloody simple. So let's go through them. Let's have a look here. Where are we? So here's an article here. Actually, we'll go for the aviation one first. Okay, why do airlines require passengers to return to their allocated seats for landing? Also takeoff. Airlines which allocate seats often make announcements prior to landing to request passengers return to allocated seats. What is the motivation for this requirement? Especially since I've never seen a requirement enforced by the crew by requesting sight of the boarding pass. Well, they assume that you're not completely retarded. Here we go. The requirement is not simply a polite way of requesting standing passenger return to the seat for 2 reasons. The crew are typically explicit in the language when giving directions, such as requiring standing passengers to be seated. Well, this is just common sense. You're landing a plane, you're not going to be standing around. It's clear from phraseology and emphasis given in the announcements that returning to the allocated seat is a critical component of the request. On a recent long flight, a couple seated in my row were offered to relocate to vacant seats in the exit row for the duration of the flight, provided they returned to their allocated seats for landing. They were not at the same time standing. Furthermore, in an event, only one member of the couple returned, the other remained in the non-allocated seats. An example of non-enforcement. All right, so here we go. So let's get to why they try and enforce this. Ensuring the flight envelope for the aircraft is not exceeded during critical phases of flight weight distribution. However, I've encountered this situation on wide-body jets on long-haul flights, where a handful of passengers of nominal mass being situated elsewhere in the plane does not seem cause for concern. But the thing is, it does cause troubles. It does cause troubles when you move around the cabin and not comply with the cabin staff. So you got things like they tell you because collection of personal effects. Obviously, your overhead's going to be right next to you if you're in your allocated seat. You got limitation of privilege, hence revenue protection. So people in like business class are going to get disembarked earlier and that sort of thing. Emergency preparation, ensuring there's sufficient cabin crew to passenger ratio. Passenger identification, this is an important one. Aircraft crash investigators often use seating manifest to identify remains of deceased passengers. So this requirement could be to ease any further investigation in the event of incidents of landing, blah, blah, blah. But there was a different article that explained it a lot better. So it's mainly about weight distribution. If they move you around before a takeoff, and it's at the discretion of the crew, it's usually around weight distribution. If they see like there's a weight imbalance, and because it's very critical the plane is very balanced. We found that out with the 767s, 787s, the one where where the engines were such that it unbalanced the plane, so they had to have these maneuvers they had to do, which caused the crash. There we go. So weight balance distribution is something all pilots have to be aware of, whether they're flying two-seater Cessna or Boeing 747. It tends to be a more pressing issue to smaller aircraft, yeah, obviously, because it's lighter. Though larger aircraft have to manage cargo loads accurately to maintain stability of operations. While demand is once again high during the downturn, many carriers were flying planes with much lower load factors than usual, carrying the potential for imbalanced cabins. So why weight balance is important? Every aircraft has a maximum takeoff weight assigned to it, known as MTOW. This accounts for all the fuel, cargo, luggage and passengers it is carrying. Most aircraft do not have a large enough MTOW to carry a 100% full cabin of passengers, all their luggage and fully loaded cargo hold and full tanks of fuel. Therefore, a balance is required. One way airlines do this is by only loading enough fuel on board to make it to their destination, plus some reserve as per regulations. Being conservative with the fuel allows aircraft to carry as many passengers as possible. So then, of course, the weight needs to be distributed in such a way that the aircraft is balanced and able to take off safely. Every person, bag and piece of cargo affects the longitudinal balance of the plane. So having it too heavy or light loaded towards either the nose or the tail can make it unstable and difficult to control. When loading cargo, airlines will take care to balance the weight around the center of gravity. However, in cabin, too many passengers at the front or rear of the plane can cause an unwelcome imbalance. In this situation, some people may be asked to move seats before takeoff or landing. So basically, the point is, if you just let people take whatever seats they want before takeoff and landing, you could have everyone rushing to the front of the plane because, hey, you want to get off the plane quicker. Why am I going to be right at the back of the plane? I want to get up the front. It would be absolute chaos. So this guy, what's his name? Bolic Malou, or Bolic Malou, this guy's name. If he thinks that he's done nothing wrong, think again, buddy. This is aircraft safety. So, and sometimes they'll move you, as in the next paragraph. Note that if you're asked to move for weight imbalance reason, it's not anything personal. Your own height or size does not come into play, because for the purpose of calculating aircraft weight balance, every passenger weighs the same on average. Some airlines have looked at weighing passengers to produce a more accurate calculation, but as you can imagine, that didn't go down too well. So basically the crew will eyeball down the aisles and go, okay, it looks like we've got too many passengers down aft of the wings. We'll move some forward, or alternatively, if we've got too many passengers forward of the wings and so forth, they'll shuffle the passengers around to get the aircraft balanced. So when many aircraft were flying near empty, passengers were more likely to be asked to move. So this is during the COVID. Airlines calculate most of their operations based on having around 80 to 85% load factor in the cabin. During the peak days of the pandemic, many airlines struggled to fill even 50% of seats. As a result, it was being tricky to figure out this calculation for lower and tighter loads. So yeah, this guy's playing around with passenger safety. You know, I'm pretty sure there'd be nobody supporting him if the plane crashed. And I'm sure the relatives of the dead people would not go, oh, just let him take whatever seat he wants. Nonetheless, if too many passengers are determined to be sitting in one place, say at the front of the plane, this is what I was talking about, they may be asked to move more towards the center, or some might be sent to the back to balance it out. Now, this is complex stuff. You know, these airline crew are on the ball. Case by case, sometimes there are aircraft characteristics to take into account too. For example, Embraer E-jets tend to be tail heavy. I was talking about that with the Boeing that they had those two crashes with. They used to pitch. They used to be automatically flight compensated, and that's what caused troubles, because the pilots were basically fighting the automated systems because they thought the automated systems were wrong, but they weren't. Okay. Whereas the CRJs are more nose heavy, Ryanair installs folding seats at the front of their Boeing 737s to speed up turnaround times, which likely adds to the weight at the front. So we got Magna Nordal, a flight attendant, shared the following about his short-haul aircraft load experiences on Quora. This is very interesting. 2 times they've experienced that some passengers have not been seated in their assigned seats or that baggage has been loaded incorrectly. Scenario 1, a 220 kilogram baggage was loaded in the rear of the compartment instead of the forward compartment. The first officer was flying. When he rotated at takeoff, did the aircraft pitch up faster than normal? He had to, no, it says it's not did, it's the aircraft pitched up faster than normal. He had to push the yoke forward to avoid losing speed. You know, not a good thing to happen. Scenario number 2, 4 passengers seated themselves forward of their assigned seats before takeoff. Now, this is exactly the scenario that I was saying the cabin crew trying to avoid, that people just allocate their own seats. My first officer was flying and he experienced problems when he rotated the aircraft. It was very heavy. This was a very critical situation because the runway was very short and we would not have been able to stop. Potential disaster, basically. So, I did nothing wrong, mate. You're perpetuating a practice that could cause hundreds of people dying. Nothing wrong. Okay. In some extreme cases where there's a very light load, the aircraft may even request a ground crew to load up ballast to balance out the plane. There will be bags of sand or pebbles or sometimes heavy blocks. This is relatively rare but might be seen more often in the current circumstances. So this was obviously the articles during COVID. If you're asked to move, don't take offense. It's just a temporary measure, and once you're airborne, you'll be permitted to return to your original seat. There we go. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure this guy hasn't got a leg to stand on. If he's going to take it to court, you know, just don't bother, mate. You see the feds have got their body cams on. They would have filmed the whole thing, their interaction with you. You're just going to waste your money on lawyers, man. So anyway, leave your comments below. What do you think about this whole incident? If you heard it overseas, let's have a quick look at what other articles we're talking about it here. Just flick through some here. Distressing phone footage. We've seen that. Is there anything else? They're obviously siding with him, playing the victim. Federal police officer had him in a headlock because he screamed in pain. Well, mate, all you had to do was get off the plane. Well, actually, all you had to do was... Oh, sorry. You're not seeing this. All you had to do was... the federal officers had him in headlocks. All you had to do was comply with the cabin staff. None of this would have happened. There's reasons, and they would have told you why they were asking you to get back into your seat as well. So he goes, a humiliated Mr. Malou told 9 News he just wanted to sit with his family, but Jetstar called AFP in after the airline said he refused to return to his assigned seat before takeoff, which he did. It's voltage on a human that done nothing wrong. I was tasered and carried out of the place. Pushed. I felt like an animal. It doesn't feel great in front of your little 1-year-old son. Well, maybe think about what sort of role model you are to your 1-year-old son. Teaching him to disrespect authority, which the main, if you know anything about aircraft, it's the cabin crew's main objective is to maintain safety. That is their number one priority, right? They won't, if you're asking them to do something that compromises safety, they will not do it. So there we go. So now he's saying, I was assaulted and wrongly accused, Mr. Malou said. That's all I know so far. Really? Okay. Let's see it go to court then. You're going to waste your time, buddy. When asked why he thought the AFP had said he attacked the officers, he simply replied, because they're the police. Anti-police rhetoric. Where's the race card? We're looking for the race card here. Why didn't you say, it's because I'm black? Get the race card out. Why not? What have I done wrong? We'll talk about that off the aircraft. So we saw that as well. Let's see what else. Who else is talking about this? Western Australian, Daily Mail. What's the Daily Mail got to say? Dramatic moment. Passenger is tasered. No, bugger off. Gwyneth Paltrow crap. You hate it when ads just start moving the screen around and you click on the wrong thing. Dramatic moment. Passengers tasered on a Jetstar flight and dragged off the plane after refusing to move seats. Here's why he thinks he did nothing wrong. Man, this doesn't need to go to court. The rules are pretty bloody simple. You comply with officers. You comply with the flight crew. That's all you need to do. These rules aren't just stupid rules. As we saw, we went through why they enforce them. And well, the other thing as well, when you get your meals, when you order a meal, you don't want the cabin crew going, okay, where's Walrus Rider? He was meant to be sitting here. We got his meal. Are you Walrus Rider? No. Where is he? Where did he go to? Oh yeah, I think I saw him go down the end of the plane. That's not that. Stay in your bloody assigned seat. If you can't book your seat properly at the start, bad friggin' luck. I think if you ask me, I think they planned this from the start. I think what happened was they couldn't get all the seats, like the 3 seats. So they thought, don't worry, wife and child. I will talk to the person that's going to be in that seat and we'll get him to move. Because why else would you do that? Anyway, so he said, oh, there we go. So this is where he's been abused. I'm not going to leave the plane. I did nothing wrong. Blah, blah, blah. I feel like an animal. There's like no justice. Oh, come on, dude. Seriously, man. Comply with the cabin crew. And this pretty much sums it up. Jetstar thanked the passengers on board for their patience during the arrest. The safety of our customers and crew is our number one priority, and while the vast majority of our customers behave well, we have zero tolerance for those who don't. A crew called the AFP for assistance when a customer allegedly became verbally and physically abusive. Well, it's not really allegedly. We saw it on the video that he actually supplied. He was being physically and verbally abusive. After he repeatedly refused to follow the instructions to move to his assigned seat, after checking on the welfare of the remaining customers and crew on board, the flight departed Perth approximately 1 hour after its scheduled departure time. Oh, thank you very much. So basically people probably miss their connecting flights too. Well done, dude. We thank passengers for their patience as crew worked with the AFP, as the Australian Federal Police, to manage the situation. Malou appeared in court on Monday and pleaded not guilty to all charges. He has been handed a no-fly order until the matter is resolved. I've pretty much had enough of this. This is like Meghan Markle all over again. You just get sick of the rubbish that gets spewed out by arrogant people. It's crap. Just comply and everything goes smoothly. It's like, sometimes you sort of think, why can't I just, I don't know, have my headphones on or whatever. Like, there's rules for everything. A lot of the flights will ask you to take your headphones out as well. Things like that. So, yeah. All done for safety, guys. So, anyway, we'll leave it there. Leave your comments below. What do you think? Who's in the right? Is the Jetstar crew right? Or is the African guy right? Because, it's all about identity politics now. You got to make sure that you say he's a black man. There we go. Leave your comments below. I'll see you next time. Cheers. Bye.